As you can see by the usual mess, we're back working on the E28. I pulled the valve cover off to do a valve adjustment, and I found something crazy that I thought would never happen to me, but I guess it's an M30 thing. People have always spoke about these dreaded banjo bolts on the oil squirter for the cam and how they come loose and blah, blah, blah. So I, doing a valve adjustment, I wanted to check them, and I'm like, oh, well, this is fine. Holy shit. This one is totally finger loose. Finger tight, finger loose. That is insane. That could have blown up this engine. I mean, it would take a long time for it to blow up, but it totally could have blown up. That's kind of insane. In the meantime, I'm gonna cover up the engine with some paper towels. We're gonna bring the valve cover to my work, throw it in the parts washer, get it all cleaned up, and go on a mission to find some crush washers for those banjo bolts, because I'm definitely gonna throw some Loctite on those and retorque them and put new crush washers, because that's crazy. I never thought I was gonna find that. And while we wait for that to cook, we're doing a quick little oil change on the X5. Ooh, this thing is really due for some maintenance. It is leaking a good amount and definitely need an oil change, even though it's diesel. It looks like that 30 seconds into the drive. We'll be maintaining the X5 more soon. Ooh-wee. Fresh to death, baby. Look at that. This detergent leaves a little bit of stains on it, but for not having to work at all, looks great. Damn, just look at the inside. That parts washer works wonders. That is the greatest investment my boss has ever made in the shop. Now right here, you can see that I was absolutely pooing. I was so damn scared this banjo bolt was gonna break. This is me backing the torque wrench off. It was set to 10 Newton meters, backed it off way, got a little click, got nervous, thought about my life decisions for a moment there, went back to it. Got a click. All right, we're going to send it up a little, send it, another click. Okay, probably 8 Newton meters there. Let's send it to 10. Oh my God, it felt like I was going to break it every second. That banjo bolt was for sure twisting at the head. That is straight fear right there. The silence is fear. That's good. I ain't going anymore. Ah, fuck. Now I just couldn't let it go. I had to keep trying. So we went to the other bolt, gave it a little twist, got a click out of it. So we said, screw it, we're going. And we got it. Success. We've got all the valves adjusted. Everything's looking pretty good. Basically every single one was out of spec. Some were a little too tight, which is a little weird to me. Maybe I'm doing it wrong. And most were loose. Quick overview on how you do this is you make sure the cam lobe is in the downward facing position, so there's no pressure on that rocker. And then, you can give it a little wiggle, make sure it's good. Then you stick that feeler gauge in there, and you should have, I don't know how to explain it, a decent amount of resistance. Not too much resistance, not too little resistance. And to adjust the actual valve, you loosen this little 10 millimeter nut, stick something in that hole right there, and you can pull the rocker up and down to adjust resistance on your feeler gauge. So the way I do it, I don't know if I'm doing it right. Somebody in the comments will tell me I'm doing it wrong probably. But the way I did it is I left a feeler gauge in there. I put slight pressure with a pick on the adjustment and tightened down the nut. And then I went at it afterwards with the gauge again once it was done to feel that resistance and make sure it still felt good after the nut was tightened. Tell me if I'm wrong. I'm probably going to find out if I'm wrong when I start this car and it sounds like poop, but I've got hope. I got hope I did it right. Now always make sure you throw a little gabagoo, little dabble of it in the cracks between your valve cover mating surface and the timing cover. That is a leak spot in literally every vehicle ever. So if you're working on a Miata, a BMW, anything. Always make sure you throw a little juice in there, a little RTV action. And then it's time to throw on the fresh valve cover gasket. Always the best part. The completion. Wow, I'm not doing too good at this right now. Jeez Louise. My arm is probably in the way that whole time. You know, we're still learning though. We're still learning. Completion of the job. Oh, shit. Boom. Gasket applied. And then goes the beautifully cleaned, fresh M30 valve cover. Honestly, I'm so happy how the inside turned out. That thing looks money. Snake it on in here. Wow, I'm doing a terrible job. Probably knocking dirt and shit into the engine. Great job. There we go. Boom. Beautiful. Now that we got the valve cover on, we will throw everything back together. Nobody wants to see that, so we've got everything back together. Everything's torqued to spec. A couple bolts are missing in the air box. I want to take all that apart and paint it. That boot needs to be replaced, so we'll be back in there pretty soon. But I did find something funny out. When I was turning the engine over, I know these belts are old. I have new ones, I need to replace them. But I turned the engine over and look at that. That spins way too easy. That probably makes sense as to why it wasn't charging very well when I put the new battery in. That belt probably is not tight enough. Hopefully it's tight enough on that water pump. The car doesn't overheat or anything, but we'll be all right. I will be replacing those belts. I do have new belts in the car. I really just want to get this thing driving. But all right, let's grab the keys and do our first start after the valve adjustment. Let's see how this thing runs after some freshly adjusted valves. First start's a success. Let's take a listen. I'm scared that door's gonna lock itself. We'll leave it open. Wow. I don't think I screwed it up. It is heaps quieter. I don't know how well the mic's picking it up, but it is way quieter now. I am very happy. Let's see what it looks like when let's see what it sounds like when it's warm. All right, now it's fully warm. I think it sounds pretty good. You know, it's an M30, they're a little loud, they idle a little but I think it sounds pretty good. Let me know if you guys, you know, there's some more M30 nerds out there. This is my first like M30 I've really been working on. I've owned one other one before, but I never really worked on it. So I'm still learning. Let me know if you think this idle is good. You know, give me advice. You tell me what I should do next. I am up for it. I'm excited to learn this engine more because it's pretty cool. As you can tell, it doesn't totally idle perfectly. Like I said, it might have a vacuum leak or something, but seems to rev okay. You know, comes back down to idle perfectly. I have a sneaky suspicion that the thermostat is not closing because it doesn't ever fully hit half, but you know, I'll be doing the cooling system sometime soon as well. Let me know about this idle. I guess the gauge doesn't really tell you a lot, but it feels decent.